So this is the machine where we'll be doing the lab.
Okay, and this is 2025 or 2019 Windows Server.
So this will be 2022, 2019 data set. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So what we need to do first of all is we need to set up the hypervisor first, because before we start with the Citrix deployment, we need two three things. That is prerequisites, you can say, AD server, and we need to have SQL server. We need to have SQL server, AD server, and we need to have a hypervisor, so where you can connect. But in case of Citrix, if we are using Hyper-V, then on the same machine we have to install SCBMM also. SCBMM is very important that we need to install. Simply, if we install Hyper-V, it won't work. So to install SCBMM, we need to have domain. So these are all prerequisites we need to set up. So let us start with the installation of Hyper-V. Before that, let us check the machine name. What are the machine name that we have given? We'll change the name to. Okay.
Usually, server should be in domain group, right? Not the work group, right? To make sure it will work.
We need to create everything. We'll create domain, everything we'll create. Okay, the machine we have, what we have already. The host name I have changed. So next we'll be installing the Hyper-V. So we'll go to server manager. So server manager, if it is not launching automatically, what we can do is we can go to start, and from here we can run the server manager from the start. Once the server manager is loaded, then we can right top, we can go to manage and then add roles and features. Then we'll select role based features. Then the machine name will be appearing, and click next. Then we'll install the Hyper-V. So
Okay.
why we are installing the Hyper-V? Because all our infra, every component will be deployed on the Hyper-V itself.
Okay. You said we're gonna use the Azure for virtual machine setup.
This is an Azure.
Okay.
So that is I told, once you start means you have to finish, because otherwise it will be just okay. So next is we need to select the network, but Azure deployment is little bit different network configuration. Okay. So here VM configuration part, we can here it's a default location for the virtual machine configuration files. So we need to set up, we need to add one additional drive or disk to this machine, so that we can store the VMs. But currently the storage what we have is we have only 96 GB free, which is not enough for storing the VMs. So what we can do, I will just add in backend in the one of the disk. So I have added one disk. Let's go to the server manager. Yeah, okay, computer management. So in the D drive, I can create one folder, VMs, where I can store the VMs, whatever I will create. So here in the default location for virtual machine configuration files, that I can change the path, and the VM location also I will change. Okay, so we are done. So it says to we need to take a restart, otherwise we'll see. If it is not asking for restart, we can just go to Hyper-V manager from the start menu. So let us restart one. Okay. So it will launch the Hyper-V manager where you can create all the VMs. Okay. Before that, we'll create one virtual switch first, because the switch whatever we have created is because that should get the IP address that we want, because the VM which we have uh, the Azure VM, or this particular Hyper-V is created on Azure, and it will be having some different IPs like 10.0.0. Or 10.0.1. So like that it will create. So you can check that IP over here. It is 10.0.0.4 series. Okay. So this is where the IP we have connected. Now I want to give some setup of like 192.168.10 dot some series I need to give. So for that, what I'll do is I need to create some virtual switch. I can use through GUI, but specifically for Azure, because that has to hide the Azure IP address. It will create some set of own IP address range. That virtual switch it has to create. Then it has to communicate. If we want, if we need to communicate with outside network, say for example, outside like on network like internet or any other virtual machines, then we may need to do some netting. So, but before that, what we need to do is that we don't know. Means don't want actually uh, the communicating with internet, but at least we should have the virtual switch to be created for the communication purpose. Internally, it should have internal communication is required because all the
Mm.
VMs whatever we will create, it should communicate with the hypervisor, plus it should communicate with the it should communicate internally. So for that, what we need to do is we need to create one switch, like new VM switch we need to create. Okay, and post which we need to create what the network adapter is available over here. Okay, and we need to see like Ethernet, Microsoft. See here, with Ethernet internal switch, whatever you have created, we need to take the index status like 27. 27 is the index load that we have to take. Then we need to uh, run one command to IP to assign one IP address to that virtual switch. Okay, adapter 20, adapter 2, whatever is written, we need to we need to assign one IP address. So it shows 27, we need to go for. So here what I'm assigning is 192.168.10.1. This IP address will assign to this particular hypervisor. Okay. So whatever machine will create inside the hypervisor, for all those machines, this 192.168.10.1 will be the gateway, which is this hypervisor. Okay. Now if I configure IP config, so it will have one IP address 192.168.10.1. So now I have an isolated network over here in the environment.
Okay.
So now I need to create one network. Which network it should create? NAT not required. That I'll be communicating with. But for so far, this is the IP address that has been already created. Now whatever the VMs I will create inside, that IP address will be 192.168.10.2, 10.3 like that I can create. So let us start with the over here. This is the virtual switch that we have created. So whenever we'll create one VM, we'll assign this particular virtual switch to that machine. Now, if I go and create one virtual machine, so this is suppose CTX AD server. If I'm going to create, so by default anyway it will create the store. Okay, let it be, and Gen 1 let it be. So here I'll be giving memory, then we'll select the network, and this is where it will store the location. So here I'll give 60 GB, and this is the I have already copied earlier, so that I can use. Say for example, server 22, 22, and here power on. So now we'll create all the machines like SQL server, your delivery controller, everything will create inside the machine.
Okay.
Inside this CTX HYP001, inside this we will create everything. So meanwhile, what I'll do is SCMM and some components I will pre-install so that it will not take much time. At least
Okay.
and time over the for the Citrix lab. So the architecture will be like first of all we'll create one AD server where we'll deploy DNS server, DNS, DHCP, and if you want to keep any file server, so you can create on this AD server itself. Create one more server, that is SQL server. On top of the SQL server, we can install the Citrix license server. So we can save some components like resource, and also we need to set up everything that whatever is required for that environment. If in case we need to set up one separate license server, we can deploy, but it is not much required actually, because it will be we are just going through the license server deployment, but actual license server it will not use because we'll be using the 30 days grace period. The setup will run. Now the license model has been changed actually in Citrix. So if you
Subscription model, right?
yes, now it is on activation service model, LAS. Like if you deploy the earlier what was happening, you have to deploy the license server. Then on top of the license server, you need to assign one license file to the license server. Based on the license server host name, you will generate one license file, and that license file usually you generate it inside the Citrix login, and then you download that license file and you can use it. But the challenge over here is anyone can use that license file. For example, if you give me that license file, I can set up one environment with same license server name and I can use it because that is offline. Technically, that is possible, and it was people can use this. So there was one challenge. Next is again that is not legally, that is not okay. That is illegal only, but it is possible. Now what they have done is, now you need to install the license server and you need to connect to the your license server my Citrix account, your Citrix account. So automatically it will fetch, and the license server now it will run on two locations. Your license server you can manage, see the licenses in your on-prem license server plus in Citrix Cloud license server. So usually what you do is, whenever you are going to this LS based or activation service model, if you are going, you will get one cloud based license server where you can log in and you can manage those licenses. So usually for training purpose and all, we don't use this any specific license. Earlier Citrix used to provide, but now for this they have already restricted lots of things. They don't allow any any, you cannot create any trial account and download any software. Those things are not possible now.
Okay.
They're very restricted, but now see, but in your environment, do you have access to the Citrix your Citrix environment in your organization? Let it get installed. Meanwhile, you can create one virtual machine or Citrix license server and SQL server. Okay.
How long does it take for this to install? 20 minutes?
Yeah, it will take almost once this machine what we create. Even we can create the machine server directly on Azure itself. Like in the Azure itself, we can have a delivery controllers machine. We can have storefront server machine. Those things also you can create directly, because you need to set up with the Hyper-V, and we need to understand in deployment of Hyper-V and how to connect to the Hyper-V, and also we need to set up this lab environment Hyper-V. Inside this, it it may take some 10 to 15 minutes or 20 minutes it will take. So maybe what I can do, I will assign more resource to SQL server so that it can deploy it faster. So by the time SQL server install the OS, we can start configuring the AD server, AD, DNS, DSCP, those components you can install. You can configure. For infra servers, we should give the static IPs, but the VDA machine, master image and VDA machine, we should give DHCP IPs.
Okay.
And the basic configuration of Citrix, any infra component, we should go for 4 BCP, 8 GB RAM. That will be in production. But for storefront, license server does not require that much of resource. They can work over 2 BCP, 4 GB itself. But when we keep it a standard for all the infra servers, so we can ask, suppose in your computing, okay, I need 8 infra servers. So 4 BCP and 8 GB memory I need. They will provide, all servers should be identical. Storefront license server does not require much, but still we can give it. So, that will be faster. But delivery controller, that required more memory and sufficient memory. If it is less than 6 GB, it will give a warning. Minimum 5 GB or 6 GB will be required. Delivery controller required more memory, because that itself will do. If you look into the architecture, if you recall, delivery controller is the only component which perform all the activities. It's communicate, for enumeration. Delivery controller connect with the SQL database and fetch the information. Then when user click, delivery controller do the brokering and allow the users to connect. So these are all the tasks that delivery controller does. So that require much resource over there. Let it meanwhile connect to the SQL server too. deploy the OS. These are some server parallel activity you can do. All the
So no need to
configuration time.
restart.
Sorry,
No need to restart.
which one?
No need to restart the service after installing. We need to restart or not? Not it.
Yes. After installing, we need to restart. All the Citrix component, it will restart automatically. When you install the Citrix components, during the installation, it will install all the required component, whatever, and it will restart. And parallel activities also we can do in Citrix environment because all the components what you install is different. Like it is all are isolated, separate. But when it comes to configuration, we need, for example, delivery controller installation, we can do along with the license server installation. But when you configure the delivery controller, it will ask where is your license server. Okay? So that is why we should do step by step. We should first of all we have done with the hypervisor. Now we have to set up AD SQL if we recall the prerequisites. Okay, these are the core components. So after this we can give the okay, these are the core components. Then we can go for the Citrix components to deploy. Okay, so let us log in and we'll start configuring this particular machine. Okay, so what we need to do first thing is we need to change the host name and we need to deploy the AD DNS DHCP. SQL is the host name that we need to use. Oh, sorry, this is the AD server, correct? We need to rechange. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Rename this. Be very careful actually. Names and all you can rename it later on, but once the component is installed, then you cannot do anything. We have to on it. It is first time if you are doing, then it is better, you can do a clean set. Suppose you did some mistake initially, you have done some setup and you have done some mistakes. So it's better that you can do the clean setup. So I just need to rename the server. Post which will TX ADS AD server. SQL server is almost ready.
So totally we have 3 VMs right now.
No, as of now we have created only two VMs inside the hypervisor. One is AD server, another one is the SQL server. So now let us keep the SQL server one side. So first of all, what we need to do is we'll assign one static IP. Okay, so 192.168 and that was given IP address one was given to the Hyper-V, so that will be the gateway. So this will start with, let us start with some 5. Okay, and gateway will be 192.168.10.1. That this will be the gateway. Okay, and let us see if it is able to communicate machine. Okay, so network is done, the static IP. Okay. Next, what we need to do is we need to configure the Windows firewall. We need to disable. Okay, so we'll go to Windows firewall. So here we can disable the Windows firewall. So turn on, turn off Windows firewall. So we'll make it turn off. Windows firewall for lab it's not required. And next, what we need to do is once we have set up with the IP address, we have disabled Windows firewall, and we have done with the naming of the machine. Next, you need to install the AD server, AD component, Active Directory, domain services. This is what we need to install. Automatically, it has already added which are the components to be required. So meantime, let us check the status of the SQL Server VM and figure. SQL Server also will give the static IP and also will change the host name. This is how you need to install the AD server. Go to server manager and role. So whatever role, file server, Hyper-V, any server role you want to install, go to manage and add roles. If you want to remove anything, remove roles. Yeah. Okay. So this is the static IP 10.6.22.1 and the DNS server. Since we are going to prepare the DNS server, that our AD server, so I will give that IP address over here. Okay. Now I should be able to ping to the AD server IP. Okay. This is also pinging. Now we need to disable the firewall ports as it is we have done. Firewall we disabled for AD server. Now we are disabling firewall for build server. After joining to the domain also, we'll again cross-check the firewall status. Okay, now we'll keep the SQL Server one side because now SQL Server has the static IP, host name, firewall disable, everything is there. Then we need to join to the domain and then we need to log in as a service ID and then we need to do all the activities. So for that, what we need to do, we need to create one AD server. AD server we need to create with the accounts. So we have
Okay.
installed the AD component. Yeah, but we need to promote this to the domain controller. We'll create a new forest. So let it be the name is CTX app dot. Okay. We'll use all everywhere. I'm using common password. Welcome at the rate 12345. So this is the password I use everywhere. So it will take all where you have to keep the scripts and configuration files. This is where we need to use the scripts and all. Okay, you configure. Where is the database folder? Because all the components like username, password, where it will store everything. The default it will take. No need to do anything. To check for the prerequisites. This will configure later on. Okay. Let us install this. It will reboot automatically. So whenever we are installing any component, Citrix component or SQL, any configuration, we'll use a service account. Means one account we will be using that is for overall for all the configurations and setup. Because now all the machines that we have logged in with a local ID, local username. But local
Mm-hmm.
username will not install, so we'll be using a domain ID. So domain ID also administrator is most common, so we'll not use the usually we don't use administrator domain admin account. We can request for specific AD team or the team before we deploy the Citrix environment service. If you recall the prerequisites that we had discussed, service account also uh, is very much required. And that
Yes.
service account will be using overall, all the install component and configuration, deployment and configuration. Let us see if the license, the SQL server, we have changed host name. So now I log in with the already created. First thing what I need to do is you need to create one service account. Make that service account as a part of domain admin because we need to, it should be part of local administrator. So you should install everything. So we'll create one domain admin account that is service account. This is where we'll create the admin. We'll set common password toward the environment. Now we'll make this user admin the member of administrators. Administrators not required, only domain admin is fine. Okay. So we'll see who are the part of local admin because this service account should be part of local administrators. Okay. After joining the domain, you can add the domain administrators. Okay. Next, after the AD service account has been created, so next what we need to do is we need to install we need to configure the DNS. Forward reverse lookup DNS lookup we need to configure. Forward lookup automatically get created, but reverse lookup we can create. We'll go with the new zone. This is the same primary only. We don't have any other IP address setup. We need to do 6810, and this is both secure and unsecure both. This is the reverse lookup gen. Not done. Next is we have not installed the DHCP. So DHCP role we need to install. Otherwise, it has to display over here. But since we don't have, we need to install the DHCP scope role first. Okay. DHCP server. The server manager, we need to select the DHCP server just above the DNS and we will install. Meanwhile, on the SQL server, we have already changed the machine name. Okay. Now the next what we need to do is we need to join the machine to the domain. Okay. So there you can change the domain administrator. Service account also you can use, but we have the administrator. So join to the restart. And here the DHCP server also got installed. So we need to manage the complete the DHCP configuration we need to perform after the installation of the DHCP server. Okay. So this is the user ID that you need to use to manage your DNS. Okay. And here you get the DHCP option to manage. So why you need to DHCP? You need to create some DHCP scope over here. To DHCP scope, if we create, we can assign some IP address. So for example, if we are going to take some IP like 192.168.10.5, 10.6 for the infra servers. So from
Mm-hmm.
15 to 20 or say
Mm-hmm.
15 to 30 will assign for the DHCP scope. So we can create one new scope over here,
Okay.
and that is for CTX lab. Okay, for the VDIs. Okay, assign. IPs to Citrix.
As of now,
PD.
you're keeping the range at like 20 VMs range.
Yeah, like start IP, end IP will configure like 190 to 168. Uh, suppose 15 I'll take. Okay. So first of all, from 5 I have given started giving to infra IPs. So assume that in a production environment, hardly 10 machines should be in infra. Okay. So, but here we are not going to create 10 machines. So, but still 15 I have given. Okay. And end IP I can give like 168 and 30. So anyway, we'll be creating only few machines, like one or two
Okay.
machines will create for testing, but we have given this IP range. Okay.
Okay.
And exclusion not required. We don't give any exclusion that any particular IP range and all. That will leave it. Leads duration, let it be. Okay, we'll configure this. Default gateway I can mention connected because whenever when we configure the DHCP IP range subnet, then gateway also it should take automatically. Okay, this is the DNS name automatically has taken. So let it be because why this is required is so automatically it should get added or VM should get communicate with each other. Okay, no need to give any manual. Okay, so this is the scope that we have created. Now next VM when we create, it should get the IP address. Okay, so SQL Server now it is created. So we'll log in with the domain ID. Okay, admin that has to get created. So what are the prerequisites that we have created today? One is hypervisor. Next is we have created
SQL.
AD, DNS,
Yeah.
and SQL Server. So here SQL Server let us validate if the Citrix admin ID is part of the administrators or not. It should be local. See, domain admin already there. Okay. So since Citrix admin is part of the domain admins, so it's already part of local administrators group. So we can configure, install anything on this machine. These are the admin rights now this particular user has. So next is what we need to do is we need to install the SQL server. So I will just mount the now AD server nothing to do because AD DNS DHCP is ready. We need to just create some test user account and some OU. Okay, let us do this. So let us go to the installation. This is the new standalone installation. Okay, we'll go with the evaluation. Require this is just one warning for auto update and all that. Can recheck. This can otherwise take some time. Okay, that firewall it is showing. This domain firewall has to be off. Okay. So we'll install the database engine that is the main, which will have the core service for storing the data and all. Replication, uh, one database to another that will not use now. Full text, that is for search engine, let it be. Data quality service, that will not required. And analysis, so not required. Shared features. What we need to install is master data service, distributed relu controller. Okay, let it be. These are the some additional tools we can install. The server name is Citrix SQL, Citrix LIC SQL. The instance is MS SQL Server. Okay, let it the grant volume maintenance task privilege. Okay. We can configure mixed authentication method. SA one is Windows authentication method plus SA authentication method will provide and as the current user as the administrator and replay status. Okay, actually, this component is not required. Okay, let it be. We'll just focus on the database creation part.
Okay.
So let the SQL get installed. So in AD server, what we need to do is we need to create some test account to test when Citrix,
The OU group
user
and test. Okay.
yeah. And in AD server, we need to create some OUs, okay, organizational unit. This OU I will create, like for example, uh, server OS VDS. Okay, so I'll create an OU which will be like server OS VDS. Okay, and one more OU I will create that is desktop OS VDS. So when I provision machines, I need to select this, OUs I need to select. If I have created Windows 11 based machines, if I'm going to create, so I'll keep it in desktop OS VDS. So that why I need to create OUs is because we can link the group policies into the okay. So for group policy, we need to create GPMC. group policy, GPMC, Group Policy Management Console. And if you create any, there are site level policies, domain level policies in the domain. There are some OUs. Okay, so already desktop OUs and server videos are already there. So here you can link any GPU, existing GPU, or create any group policy. So for that we need to have OUs to be created. Okay. So what is next after the SQL Server installed? What is the next component we should install? Can you recall?
We should go with delivery control.
No, license server will install on this first. Citrix license server.
Okay.
Because this is the because when you install the delivery controller and you start configuring, it will ask for the license server. So we'll start with the license server first. That is for the Citrix component. Okay. This is done. Citrix component and it will install the license server. So when we double click the Citrix virtual apps and desktop component, this is the only setup file. This is the one setup file. It will install all the most of the components of the Citrix. So you can see there are two types of coming but delivery, but both are same almost. Whichever you click, it will open the similar options to install the components. So we'll start with desktop, and here you can see whether you want to install delivery controller, or you want to install the agent, or you want to install any particular component. So you can select. If you select delivery controller, it will install along with the other component also. It will get installed. You can uncheck and check. Suppose you are
Okay.
clicking on delivery controller, it will ask you to install director server, license server, storefront server. Those things you need to disable.
Mm-hmm.
Since we are installing license server on this, so
Mm-hmm.
we need to disable that. Similarly, if you are running the VDA, automatically the virtual desktop agent for Windows multi-session OS automatically it detected the if you run the same file, same installation file on Windows 10 or 11, it will show virtual delivery agent for Windows single session OS. Okay, that will let us install the license server. All the Citrix component installation is almost similar. Okay, there will be a welcome page, there will be a license agreement, there will be a component selection, there will be a firewall, automatic thing. So only the feature part where we are enabling, disabling which features we want, only that part you just need to review. Otherwise, rest of the things are similar. See here, agreement, license agreement done. Then here itself, it will select which are the core component to be installed. Okay, this is where we need to select. Automatically, since we have selected the license server, it's told, okay, license server is not installed, it's required on this machine. Now firewall automatically it will and configure Windows firewall. This is
Okay.
for all the setup. Whichever setup we need, whichever the firewall port, that will be automatically configured. So if you are installing delivery controller, it will configure port 80 or port 3 by default. It will configure, and also all the Citrix component. It will install all the prerequisites. Suppose any component required .NET or Visual C++, those things automatically it will get installed if it is not installed. So installation it may take, depending upon the component, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. So we have to wait. Sometimes it can take about around 30 minutes also, specifically for VDA. So for that we need to wait.
Okay. After this install is done, can we continue tomorrow, Amar?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, we need to continue regularly now. Otherwise, what happens is
Yeah,
this.
tomorrow I'll be there. Yeah, regularly will connect. No problem. As I said.
Sure, sure. So let us launch the lab. Once the license server installation complete, we'll launch the license server. We'll go through the console and then the license manager. Okay.
So now the license server which you install is on AD, right?
SQL server.
Oh, NetSQL server.
So you can keep it the license server separately, but need to do the Citrix. So when we are running on the Azure, we should do, resource constraint will be there. So that is why we have. So here you can see the license server. So this is the license cannot connect to the Citrix licensing endpoints. So we need to set up with the we can log in with our Microsoft account, so that we can connect to the Citrix my Citrix account. so that it will fetch all your the licenses whatever is installed.
Okay. And what is if you go? Can you go back?
Yeah.
So what is this startup license and what is this license server diagnostic license?
This is by default it will get installed whenever you install this. This is startup license is just to check in, check out of the license sessions. Whenever the Citrix will assign any license, there is one startup license will be used basically to check in and check out of the license. Okay, that means the license server is fine and license is able to check in and check out of the licenses. This is by default it will be installed on all the license servers and uh, but this is not actually the product license. So usually what happens when the delivery controller you deploy, when it connect to the Citrix license server, it check with the one of the license it will pick and it will check, okay, the license server is able to provide any license to the environment. But if the product license is not available, then how it will provide? But at least it can check from the infra side. It can check the okay the Citrix license server is up and running, and
Mm.
it is services are running and license server is healthy. Those component it will check. But this is not the product license.
Okay.
So it will show you the historical usage of the license. Then here it comes the license, install the license. So here license access code, you can log in to your. Now the download license file is not available now. Still it is showing, but because the versions what you are using may be little bit the older one. Now this license file is no more use. So you have to connect to the cloud to uh, to get your licenses. And here you also you can do some activities like you can check which other licenses are available to renew and to cut. This is where you can connect to the. You can just enter the code and display license. Then you have to log into your My Citrix and it will show you the license. So here it shows to control the license console. But now you need to you can connect with the license management console, like basically the Citrix Cloud, Citrix My Citrix login. So whenever you purchase any Citrix license, Citrix will give you an account. That account you should have the licenses. So when you log into that account, say for example install license and license code, then it will prompt you to the login to the Citrix account. Then it will show you what are the licenses are assigned for your account. Okay. And this is some overview. Then after that, there is a setting option is there where you can add your administrators, you can change the firewall ports. Okay. And here supplement grace period also you can mention 15 days grace period now. Earlier it was some 30 days, now 15 days. You can connect to your Citrix service to check the licenses. This is where you can download your troubleshoot. To troubleshoot your license server, you can upload the zip file, your troubleshoot zip file log files to Citrix to verify. So, but new license server, you'll get option to connect to your Citrix cloud account to your license server to check the licenses. Article for that.
Okay.
There is a license activation service will be there in the dashboard here. Here you can connect to the license account. License server version is 11.17.2.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the license version can be supported, but here it is not showing IPv4 license manager. Earlier it was able to show you like when is the expiry date and all in any product. Okay, but there is no option over here to connect server configuration. In the dashboard, there should be we should get an option called license activation service. Okay, then we should prompt to the Citrix Cloud account login. That is the part. I'll see. Okay, if there is some video or something that I can show you with screen to understand.
Okay.
But
And
this is
tomorrow you will log in through your account, Amar, your official account,
the
because
account in
here
the
we
sense.
did not. Because here we did not have. Did not. Did the license code, right? We don't have license code, right?
License we don't need actually for the labs and all.
Okay.
Because for the labs and all we have 15 days, 30 days grace period. So that is enough to do the
Okay. Okay.
implement. So that is enough. So we don't need any license for that. But at least for that period of time we can use environment.
Okay. Okay. Then let's connect tomorrow same time.
And if you see here, this is how the
Mm-hmm.
go to the licensing manager. Okay, go to the licensing manager. This is what Citrix licensing manager. Here you should get the dashboard. You should get the
Activation. Yeah.
license activation service. And here go to registration means you should be able to uh, deploy. So
Get
this
the
is yes, this is 11.17 2 dot version 53100. What we have installed is 37,000. Maybe because of the version, it is not. I'm not getting that option.
okay.
But you should get this actually. So if you want to migrate or upgrade your license server from current to new, you have to follow this. At least this build you need to do. Okay. And this version of license server you need to install it. How we installed? But in a production you should not install any component on top of another component. For example, I have installed license server on SQL server. We should not do this. We should install license server separately. All component we should keep it separate for better performance and troubleshooting. So now anything happens to the VM, I don't know whether it is because of license server or because of SQL server. Okay. So we should have isolate, but since this is a lab environment, always you can go with the whichever is optimized. But this is the option. We can go for the open the license manager, dashboard, license activation, go for the registration. Then it will ask you to log into your Citrix Cloud account. And also in Citrix Cloud also, once you have done this, it will give you the license registered with the Citrix Cloud or online license activation service, and then it will show you the licenses, which are the licenses are available. Activation it will show you. Apart from that, if you go to it can show you these are the licenses that are sent to you. Also, if you go to Citrix Cloud, you can see which are the licenses. If you go to the Citrix Cloud, you can see there also you can see in the Citrix Cloud. Citrix Cloud login also you can control the licenses and check the licenses. So both you can check the license both the locations. Fine.
Okay.
So we'll connect then tomorrow.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
this
Yeah.
machine, yeah, and then we'll continue tomorrow to build the delivery controller because we have deployed the license server. So we have to install the delivery controller, and we need one more VM that is
So on
store
the
front
same
server.
machine only, like on SQL machine only, you'll install delivery control, right? Tomorrow also.
We'll create a separate machine for that.
Okay. Separate virtual machine. Okay. Okay. Got it.
Okay, then see you tomorrow then.
Yeah. 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 And also, I'll ask GoLogica to send the recording quickly.
Ask
Yeah. Yeah. Sure. Thank you.